The GHL boys are back, and it's 2024. You know what that means? We gonna get greater. We gonna put in that labor so we can get that paper. We got a special guest. We got my man Travis Graham. He is an author, a motivational speaker, and a man of many hats. And we are glad to have you today, my brother. Clap it up for my man.
Appreciate that.
Clap it up for my man.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
Just to get right into it, you know, we're gonna get to the book, Rich Suicide, but I first want to kind of dive into who you are, where you come from, so we can kind of see how we led up to this point.
Definitely, man. My name is Travis Graham Jones. I'm originally from the south side of East Orange, New Jersey.
South side.
And yeah, man, I've been on a spiritual journey. May 18th, 2021 was a pivotal time period, which we're gonna dive into the interview. But it really, I call it a spiritual awakening because I feel like in order for me to get to this point, to be here, I feel like a piece of me had to die in order for God to really, for me to do God's work. And when I say die, I mean emotionally, physically, spiritually, all encompassing, because a lot of times I feel like in life we get so used to being in just the everyday routine of life where we can lose a sense of our purpose, lose a sense of our passion, lose a sense of who we authentically who we are as human beings. And I feel like Rich Suicide is a pinnacle for me because it redefined what life meant to me.
Okay. That's dope. That's dope. And I definitely can relate to that because we all go through things and we all have, you know, had to unlearn certain things that we learned as kids. You know,
Right.
We all come from similar backgrounds, similar areas, and we learned a lot of things that were toxic at a time. And then as you get older, if you're blessed enough to get older and learn through those things, you start to see, like, how could I even think like that at a point in my life? Like, how did I even think that that was the okay thing to do? I know these two brothers, they grew up together. So they have a lot of stories of them growing up and, you know, doing certain things. I'm not going to put those certain things out, fellas.
Nah, no need for that.
I think
That's
the
a
time period
podcast.
is
That's a
good.
podcast. That's a podcast for a different
I think
day.
the time has passed, right?
Yeah.
We good? We good?
No. But that's
We
a
all
different
right?
podcast.
All right,
That's a
say no
different
more.
podcast.
Say no more. So
That's not a podcast.
So I can understand that. Just seeing certain, like, there's certain time periods in my life where I look back and say, that was me.
Yeah.
I did that. I thought that was all right. And I know that that's probably what everybody's experience is now that we've gotten to this point and been blessed by God to get to this point to actually have, because not everybody gets those chances. We all know people that didn't make it to see 21. We know people that is in jail forever. We know people that they're still lost right now at our age. Yeah. So this is, what you're saying means a lot. So take me so where specifically did you grow up and how was your upbringing?
Well, specifically, I grew up near Elmwood Park. I lived with my grandparents for a while on 98 Rhode Island Avenue. Mm-hmm. So all throughout the south side of East Orange, Essex County, and coming up, I saw a lot of poverty.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of gang banging was prevalent. Mm-hmm. I could lose count on my hands the amount of brothers and just people that I have genuine love for that I lost in the streets coming up. So a lot of times, I would I was having this question with my brother the other day, and I was just like, yo, what made us different to be in certain locations and shootouts happen, stabbings happens, and it's like God blessed us not to happen to us.
Yeah.
And I find that it's because I feel like we have a purpose that's beyond just a purpose just beyond the basic standards of living.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like my upbringing from living with my parents at one time in the YMCA, we were homeless at one point. That's when I went to go live with my grandfather, and just having those humble beginnings, it gave me a lot of strength, but it also incarcerated a lot of trauma within my spirit.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that I saw the way, like, other family members, at one point my mother and father, they were on drugs heavily. So I saw the way people treated my mother, people treated my father. I'm in the next room, people like, yo, my father's name was Travis too. God rest his soul, and people in the other room, family. These people that's supposed to love me.
Yeah.
Yo, I saw Trav on the highway begging for money, trying to get money for crack. So as a little kid, I'm like 10 years old. In my head, I'm just channeling all of this energy, and it's coming out as rage because it's displaced aggression because now I'm like, nah, man, these people going against my father. I got to stand firm, and I can't necessarily go at my family, but a lot of it was negative energy put into the streets, and trying to uphold and just hold on to this aggression that really wasn't productive, but it essentially was the building blocks that led me down a path of having these wild thoughts and just this idea that I had to be tough.
Macho.
Like I had to be tough. I can't let nobody disrespect me. I can't be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I can't be vulnerable. That there was no lane for.
Outlet. It's that outlet that you needed, and that's the thing about it is most of us as kids, when we went through whatever trauma that we went through, first of all, you didn't tell nobody.
Right.
And then second of all, those emotions that you had, because nobody really talked about mental health back then, you didn't understand it.
Right.
So now that not understanding it now turns into aggression. And it turns into you now acting sporadic. Now you don't want to listen to school. They're like, oh, he's just bad. No, he's not bad. This just happened last night. And he still has to show up in school like it's cool, like it's regular. Yeah. So that's, that's really, what causes this. You know?
I remember like just becoming very compulsive in a lot of things. And I just didn't understand why me and my sister, why we didn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? I remember literally having to go to school with holes in my sneakers, you know what I'm saying? Just literally. And I remember I was playing football. I used to have to rock cleats to school. This before they was in style. Just rocking cleats because that's all that I had.
Yeah.
So it put me in a real I think Nipsey said it it put me in a survival state. Yeah. And not a thriving state, because when you're in survival mode, you willing to do whatever just to survive.
Yeah, and on top of that, like it was real young to witness that trauma and stuff like that, and then go through all those things. And that's what happened to us as people. Like when we men, I could talk from my own experience. Like seeing coming from a broken home and seeing a lot of things I don't understand. It did force me to do things I wouldn't do if I had somebody to talk to or somebody to kind of show me some type of affection. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think a lot of us go through those type of things because we don't have those in the household. Some of us, you know what I mean?
A lot of people are raised hard.
Yeah.
Raised hard.
I was raised I was raised by my mom. You know what I mean? It was just my mom, and she had 4 boys. So. And she can't teach us to be a man. She used to always tell us that, I can't teach you how to be a man, but I could just show you things that you need to survive in life.
Now, what happens with that, when your mother can't teach you how to be a man, you learn how to be a man from other people that are probably kids just like you.
Or drug dealers out on the corner, that what you going to see when you go outside. You going to see a male figure that you see him with the nice cars, you see him with the nice clothes, you see him with the nice things, and you don't understand, but you looking up to them for some type of yo, he got it, like he's some type of God or something, but yeah, man, that's definitely what we go through.
So, the name of the book, Rich Suicide, what did that come about? How did that come about?
Well, I call it Rich Suicide because I feel like when I tried to take my life in that car, and it was actually a truck that my father had gave to me. He put in his will to give to me. When I tried to take my life, I feel like the old Travis had to die in order for the new Travis to appear. So I describe it as being rich because I feel like I gain a level of richness to my soul, my spirit, because God had preserved my life.
Spared you,
yeah. He had preserved my life, and I just saw life from a new light of opportunity to be able to really live a life full of richness beyond just the materialistic aspect of what it means to be rich.
You killed off the old to be able to become something new, and you feel as though from that incident in a car that you was like, you know what? I live. God bless me to be able to keep living. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be able to enjoy life and change who I am and become rich and fulfilled.
Because prior to that, Matt, like it was like I describe it as like 100 days of hell. Like when it first set in,
Mm-hmm.
it was real like it was real surgical, like the way. So I was listening to this brother. He said that he found out that the devil, he was not strong enough to fight the devil by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was isolated. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I literally like I stopped going to the gym. I stopped eating. Like I stopped having a passion and inspiration for everything that I love doing. Like I stopped reading. It's like I got so low and so vulnerable that I literally like no I felt like demons took over my body. Yo, I'm looking in the mirror. I don't even recognize my face. I'm looking in the mirror. I'm seeing I don't even have gray hairs in my beard. I'm seeing gray hairs. I'm tripping. Like I'm tripping because
Just to kill you, bro.
yo, word. Like I'm tripping. Like my father had died. I had lost my job, and I was just feeling like shit, to be honest. Like I'm like I developed so much self-hatred and so much self-envy because I always live. I live to be. If I'm honest, being real myself, I was living out of the lens of other people. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, the same people that clap for you when you up, when you're going down,
they're gonna stomp you. They're gonna stomp you down.
You know what
They
I'm
ain't gonna
saying?
push you down. They're gonna stomp you down.
So it like I got really in such a dark state that I felt like the devil had me. Yo, I'm popping pills. I had got my wisdom tooth pill. I still had some Vicodin pills. I'm popping like 4. I'm popping a crazy amount of them. I'm taking Percocets, killing myself. Then I just got the impulsive side of me say, yo, I want this shit to stop. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been into guns and like going to the range and stuff. So I'm like, yo, the shit was just talking to me like, yo, the devil was like, yo, you got your own gun. Like you want to stop this suffering, you could do it yourself.
No, you can end
Like,
it right
yo,
now.
you can end it right now.
Oh.
Then for days I toyed with it. I would go outside. I sat on the tree in my complex. I'm in a big ass coat. It's like 100. It's like 100 degrees in Georgia. I'm in there tripping. I'm just putting it to my chest. Like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. Nah, I ain't gonna do it. And then I made a video, like telling my family, telling my fraternity brothers, telling.
I remember reading that. Yeah.
I made a video, like literally, like, yo, this gonna be my last video, a suicide video. It's gonna be my last one. You know, I just want to send my love, let y'all know that I love y'all, but ultimately I feel like this is the best thing to do. Not necessarily that I didn't want to live, but I just wanted to suffer and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that though. Like a lot of people don't understand that sometimes you can. I call it like the silent suffering, where everybody sees your face and they see you smile all the time. And they think that, oh, that guy's happy, but they don't know some of the things that may be behind in your mind and that you're dealing with this every single day. Every single day you wake up, you have to act like you're feeling a certain type of way to make everybody else feel comfortable. When really you just feel like I just want to sit in this bed and do nothing.
This like from when I was hearing what you were saying as far as like when you were younger and you heard people talk about your father, you know, trying to, at the time he was homeless, he was trying to get himself together, you know, he was, you know, begging for money and different things of that nature to be able to feed an addiction. Did you feel when you moved to Atlanta, because you don't really have anybody down there, I'm assuming.
No.
You moved to Atlanta and then you lost your job, just income to be able to pay your bills, pay your rent. Do you feel as though you was like, dang, do you started to correlate that way? Like, dang, if I lose everything, if I don't got nowhere and I'm on the street, people want to talk about me like that. Since I'm grown now, I don't have no safety net because look what they did to my dad. They ain't catch him.
Word.
So I know they ain't going to catch me.
Word.
So you think that has something to do with you like sliding, like because you was like, damn, I don't have nobody to reach out to. And I know my family, I know what they did to my father. So they might just speak in me the same way they speak in him. So I don't really have any help.
Word is deep because I kind of, that's on the line of thinking I was, because I was thinking about my sons, right? And I was like, yo, I started, I got a life insurance policy. I reached out to the person that sold me the policy. I'm like, yo, if suicide happens, are they still like, can they still get the money? And he was like, yeah. So that gassed me up. So I'm like, yo, I'm feeling like shit. I'm feeling terrible. I'm feeling like I'm losing everything.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't want to be a burden to anybody, a burden, because they was talking to me about like, yo, maybe you should look into therapy. I was like, hell no, I ain't about to talk to nobody about my issues, my problems. And they like, yo, you could look into like Zoloft, Zyprexa. These are different like mental health medications.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, nah, man, I ain't about to do that. And it's like everything that I said I wouldn't do, I got to a point where I didn't have an option, and I tried it, and I started seeing progress. So to your question, it wasn't matter. I felt like life was falling down, and I was so concerned about like what other people thought, like what other people was going to say. Damn, Trav fell off. Because I was used to being, you know, I graduated valedictorian from Rutgers and got good grades, you know, was an athlete. And I was just like, damn, like, I'll make it to, I'm like, yo, this midlife crisis shit is real.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, like, I'm really going through a whole midlife crisis, and I don't understand it. I have zero coping skills. My coping skills for the longest was just tough it out and just rock out and just ride it out.
Especially being an athlete,
Yeah,
you know,
like,
they tell you to just move on, like get past it.
You
like,
know
you
what?
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what is affecting a lot of people too is, you know, as far as with, and I know everybody says this, but it's real. Social media is a gift and a curse. Social media is a gift and a curse because what happens is, okay, you open up your phone, right? You see everything.
For that.
Yeah. So you see somebody who you may have been in the same class with or whatever, and now this person you see, oh man, they married, they doing good for themselves. You may be happy for them, but then you start to look inside of yourself and say, man, it automatically makes you judge your own self and where you are, and you got to understand your path is your path, that person's path is their path, and you don't know what they went through to even get what they got.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we start to now judge ourselves based upon something that may not even be really real. Because sometimes, I say this all the time, people put their highlight reels on there. Yeah. They don't put the times that they're curled up in the bed crying. They don't put the times that they lost, well, what some people do, that they lost somebody. A lot of people put up all of the wins that they have and subtract all the losses. So now you're looking, if you're already going through your own storm, you're looking at that person like, damn, they got everything going on for them. Like, what's wrong with me that I can't, you know, I want to work hard. I want to do these things, but why can't I get over that hump? And that's what half of the people are going through. And then I know the women, they're going through even more because they're going to look at it twice as hard now because now they want to have a baby by a certain time. They want to have all these certain things by a certain time. And then you got now body shaming going on where that now people aren't even loving their natural selves anymore. Now they're taught to, you need to change that. You need to look like this instead of loving yourself. So we need to teach more about loving ourselves. But back to your story about social media you said you had.
Yeah, like I was like when I was like in the final days of reckoning, I call it. Like whenever I would log on, mind you, I'm like this, my depressed meter, I'm on like 1 billion. So I'm logging on. Everybody look happy as fuck. Like everybody on vacation. Yeah. Everybody vibing. Just got the new house, got the new car, and I'm like, yo,
I'm doing something wrong.
Like,
I'm doing something wrong.
Like,
what yo,
this ain't it, yo. So it quadrupled the level of like self-hatred and self-envy that I have for myself. Like the first law of nature is self-preservation. There's something abnormally wrong when somebody wants to harm themselves. That was my first warning sign that I could encapsulate now. That now with the tools that I have now, I'd be like, yo, I need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Like when you want to harm yourself, it's like, yo, like that doesn't even make sense.
Why do you think our community is so afraid of talking to somebody?
I think the judgment, but I listen to a lot of David Goggins. Shout out to David Goggins. He's a motivational speaker, and he was like,
"You gonna have you doing 100 push-ups, 100 crunches, 100 everything."
Like one thing he said that resonated with me. He was like, "Yo, once you realize that everybody's fucked up, like you're able to live life more freely, like." To be able to put your life on Broad Street and just be like, yo, like I did that. Like for when I was in the hospital, I kept thinking like, damn, I ain't want nobody to know. Like I would try to go outside, I'd be like, yo, damn, this person probably think I shot myself. They think I shot myself.
But why was you thinking like that though?
It was like the just the
paranoia.
Yeah, like I was
Paranoia.
tripping.
It's
Like
paranoia.
yeah, it's like
when you get to the point of shooting yourself, now you're already in an unstable mindset as it is. 'Cause you
yeah.
actually went through it. See, a lot of people have these thoughts, but some get to the point and they say, I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
But when you finally get to that point to do it, that's when it's like,
All right,
you
quick
got to
question.
peak.
All right, quick question, right? So the tools you have now, you will go talk to somebody now if you was to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like us going back, do you think if you would have spoke to somebody then, you think you would have did?
Yo, so
you
it's
think
crazy
you would have did that?
because I was trying to reach out to my fraternity brother, Brian Phillips, right?
Mm-hmm.
This dude has always been a very spiritual dude, and I remember trying to get in contact with him, but we kept missing each other calls.
Oh, so he was calling you back, but
He
y'all
was
was
calling-
it was just bad timing.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
wow.
That's playing phone
That's
tag.
cra-
Yeah,
bad
like
timing.
literally, I hit him, then I get in the space where like, damn, I don't feel like talking. He'll call me back, and I felt like if somebody would have been able to, like, on the outside, to been able to be like, yo, let me just send like somebody to do
message or
well in
something.
this check. Let
Yeah.
me ring the alarm. I think that they would have influenced it, but at that time, I'm gonna be honest.
Your
I
mind
can
was
be
made up?
I'm very stubborn. Like I can be very
perceptive to it.
yeah.
at that time.
I'm very stubborn, and I felt like I would have still like probably tried to do it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think now out of everything that you went through, your father passing and then all the other, ups and downs that you had, what do you think is like the last straw that just sent you to that point?
The last straw that sent me to that point, the last straw, I feel like the last straw was just, so I woke up, right? I had woke up, I woke up early, took my son to school, and like, in my keynote, I said, like, I heard, literally, bro, like, no lie, I heard these voices in my head, like, saying, suicide, suicide,
Yeah.
suicide.
Mm.
Like, screaming in my head, suicide, 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 kill yourself, kill yourself. Like, it was like,
Those demons.
it was like, the forces, like, and they were strong as fuck. Like, this wasn't
That
like,
day, like,
Yeah.
out of all other days, that day it was that you
that
was feeling
day,
that
yeah,
strong.
that day it was just like, yo, like, slime yourself out, kill yourself.
Mm.
What you gonna do?
Yeah.
You scared? Like, I was in the gun. I act like it'd be like, you ain't gonna do it. I'm like, I ain't gonna do it. Like, and then like having a whole conversation with myself. And then I was like, fuck it, I did it. Then once I did it, I'm like, damn. Like, I'm really like, then I blacked out.
Yeah, it was over at that.
Yeah.
Man.
I had to text my girl, like, somehow I found the strength, like, yo, to text her, like, yo, come get me. So she had came out. All I heard was her screaming, like frantically. Then ambulance came. Then I blacked out. I thought I was dead. You know what I'm saying? Then they did the shock John, woke, and somehow God blessed me to wake up. You know what I'm saying? And
It wasn't your time.
like, word.
It
And
wasn't
I
your
thought I was in control, bro. Like, and that was one of my biggest, I would say, character defects. Like, I would try to control outcomes. Like, I would try to, yo, let me I really want this situation to work, so let me try to force something.
Yeah.
So now I'm big on, like, going with the natural flow of the universe, trusting God's plan.
Yeah.
For the longest, I was like, I couldn't pray, I couldn't make salat, like, I couldn't read the Quran. I felt like my faith in God had just went down to zero, like -0. I was like,
You feel like you weren't worthy of it, or just that it just didn't connect with you anymore?
bro, I feel like I wasn't. When I first came home, like, I didn't feel like I was worthy of watching TV. I would just sit in a room and just zone out. Like, I ain't feel like I was worthy of nothing. And I felt so.
That's a dark place.
Yeah,
Like,
man. Like, I
dark place.
felt so guilty. Like, as far as like, so the minister Louis Farrakhan said that fear restricts.
Yeah.
Like, fear and guilt restrict. So I had so much like resentment in my heart that it restricted any opportunity for me to try to move forward, bro. Like,
Yeah.
to try to move forward. And then literally it started with one day I was in my room and I was able to make my bed. like silly. Like I was able to make my bed. I ain't wash up for days. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in there just thugging. Like,
you're in the slump.
yeah, thugging. And then one day I was able to wash my clothes. Then I'm like, yo, I want to get back to the gym. And then I would go to the gym. Bro, I was sitting in the parking lot. I couldn't go in. The next day, I made it to the door. Then the next day, I made it in for 10 minutes. Next day, 15 minutes. And then I was able to incrementally build myself back up. But it took a brick by brick process.
Yeah.
It took a brick by brick process. I started therapy, individual and group therapy. Took the medication. To this day, I'm still on medication. You know what I'm saying? So it's I didn't want to do it, but it's like if you get to a point when you
don't have to submit to it.
Yeah, like you get. It's like, all right, Trav, you try to do it your way for 30 plus years.
Yeah,
like what you got to lose? You feel me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? I do my medication. I take it with my vitamins, and I find out it balances my serotonin levels. You know what I'm saying? 90% of the time I'm a positive person. 10% I can be depressed. But
that's
my
human.
depression,
that's being human though. Honestly.
Depression levels like mine get abnormally low where I just like view myself from a negative standpoint. So it helps keep me balanced.
Now, where do you think that comes from? Like, because a lot of us go through these same things, but we don't know how to describe it, and we don't really know what it is, what to call it. So, what are some things? If there's anybody that's watching right now that is going through the same thing, what kind of advice could you give them to say, hey, you start feeling like this, or you start, because some people feel like this all the time, but then sometimes it just goes away sometimes. And some people, then it goes and it progresses.
I just want to say one thing, Charles. You saying sometimes, and a lot of times, I'm going to keep it honest, you know. A lot of men like to pretend. Derek, he loves to pretend. You love to pretend too.
Okay.
With me, you know, I don't say anything. I just keep it in. I don't really say anything. With, I think 100% of the man on this planet, right? Yeah. What is expected out of you? There's no excuses accepted, right? You got to provide. Yeah. When you look on Instagram, you look on social media, YouTube, just day-to-day things, you have to provide. Your job is to work 100 hours, 200 hours, 300 hours, whatever it takes to get there. Your job is to make ideas, to be able to make money, and to be able to work, you know? How many times have you been expected to do something or to buy something that at that time you weren't able to do or buy?
It's been times throughout life. All throughout life, you're expected to do these things. It's not even about pretending. This is just about the fact that we still.
But it's not pretending? Okay, cool. So let me say this.
No. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's not about just pretending, but if you're talking about pretending in front of your lady or whoever you're expected to provide for, yes, you do pretend and put on that mask, even when you don't know where it's about to come from, how you about to do it. You like, okay, you gonna say okay when you like, I don't know how I'm about to do that, but yeah, okay, so yeah, you're right about when we, you know what? I have to admit this. It is pretending, because at the end of the day, even if you sit in front of your brothers, you won't tell them what you're going through. So you just sit there and just be like, "Oh, no, everything cool." You talk to your man. Yo, how's everything going? Oh, everything's cool. Everything's cool. He
but
might
you
be
know
going
you
through
about
his
to be
own crazy
on
story.
going crazy right now.
So you know what? I will submit to it being pretending, because the pretending is also a part of filling up that cup of more BS. I'm filling that cup of more BS, and eventually it becomes, if you don't start to have an outlet to release some of that water out that cup, it's going to overflow. And in your situation, that's exactly what happened. And that could be any of us here. So I agree with that.
It was me before. Like me, I'm personally not ashamed to say anything, you know what I'm saying? Because it's the truth. Yeah. You know, with me, you know, I never drunk a day in my life. I never did any type of drug day in my life. My problem was I always needed an enemy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So my problem was violence, you know? Yeah. Like, that's what I used to be able to, you know, to make myself feel better. You know, it was violence against other people all the time. You know, that's why I went to boxing. That's why I do different combat sports, because that's my outlet. It made me feel good to be able to evoke violence on other people, because it was me, how I felt. I felt as though, as me growing up, as a man, once you reach a certain age, like I'm not going to take the quote, it was Dave Chappelle quote. No, it was Chris Rock, matter of fact. I'm sorry. He said the only thing that's love unconditionally is pets and girls and kids.
Yeah, kids.
That's the only thing that's love unconditionally.
Absolutely.
Because when you are with a man, it's under conditions. Because how many times have you seen you have a condition? So let's say your girl could love you to death. Your girl could love you to death. Let you not provide or have any money. How long is that going to last?
On to the next one.
Yep.
Everybody,
On to the next one.
you could say whatever you want to say. You think that you were the best lover, the best talker in the universe.
You could be.
Sit
Yeah,
on
you
that
could
couch
be.
for a year, and I
bro.
bet you will find homelessness faster than the winter find summer.
You know
in
what that is
Jersey.
though? You know what that is though? And people gonna get mad because I'm saying this, but this is my truth. When certain women are born, they are taught that you are special from the beginning. There's nothing that you have to change about yourself. You are beautiful. You are the table. You are everything. You're the magical princess. Somebody's going to save you. It's always going to be somebody providing for you, and that's how some of them, because I know some have gone through horrors themselves, but the basis is you're a princess, you're all of this. As a man, when you're born, a lot of times you find out very quickly that your value is based upon what you can achieve.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
what
I'm saying.
it is.
So
if
like,
you're not first place, you're second place. Guess what? First place gonna get the girl over you.
So
If you're not-
so with that, do y'all think that play a part on men mental?
Of course.
that's what I'm saying with him. You know, like when I heard his story, it don't take anybody. That's what I'm saying. Some people can pretend they don't understand his story or don't try to sympathize with what happened. He had his father, right? His father had certain things that he was going through, right? As a man, anybody can go to the liquor bottle.
Yeah.
You can go to the drug, whatever your niche is,
That's how they
porn,
forced to do.
anything. Once your life is a 9 to 5 and you have to work, you're expected to be able to provide a house, provide utility, whatever it is, car, lifestyle. And the only thing you have to do is provide. So 24/7, your life, your mindset is not happiness, right? And that's why, I don't say anything. See, women, to me, the way they do it is this. If you listen to what a woman is saying, the woman said, I want to be happy. And
Yeah,
the
that's
reason
it.
how I'm happy is you provide for me so I don't have to think about making money. I don't have to worry about working
I can
under
stay in my
conditions that I don't
feminine.
want to do.
I can stay in my feminine, as they say. Yeah.
So at that, then your mindset switches from finding and opportunities to make money and money to how do I feel good? Oh, I like to paint. I like to read. I like to go on nice walks. If you go to a man, is he going to tell you? What is it? You say, hey, look, I'm going to ask him, D, what do you do to make you feel good and to love yourself?
Go to the gym. That's it. Just go to the gym.
And what did
work
he just say?
Yeah.
He said he went to the gym.
Yeah,
When he stopped
yeah.
going to the gym,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know what that is? You go to the gym, it's still you still evoking trauma on yourself, because when you get a good pump, what happens after? Soreness,
Yeah.
pain, fatigue. I went to the gym myself. I went to the gym. I used to run 5, 6, 7 miles. Used to lift weights.
Yeah.
The reason why is because I'm forgetting everything I have to do. Now I can, in that moment of me being in the gym, I don't got to worry about
It's your
paying the
escape.
bill.
It's your
Yeah.
escape.
I don't got to
Yeah,
worry
that-
about
yeah.
getting a better
That's how
job.
you gonna get high. You get high with that.
I'm getting high off the adrenaline.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like when you remove certain those things out of your life, right? The schedule, the routine,
Yeah.
the gym. Those are what everybody do to be able to stay sane because it's a routine.
Yeah.
Right.
That's you numbing yourself.
True.
So like that's what I'm talking about with him. Like even with me myself, I'm gonna keep it 100% honest. When I was younger and I was out there doing the wrong thing and I didn't have any more enemies, guess who became my number one enemy?
Yourself, probably.
Myself.
Yeah.
The same voices he say he was hearing, I was hearing those voices when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The same voices he say he was hearing, I was hearing those voices when I was a kid. Like, yo, you a punk. If you see him, you don't do nothing, you a punk. You gonna let him talk about you like that? You a punk. You gotta show him. I heard them same voices. And after I acted on them, I felt good. Like, oh yeah, you ain't no punk. You handle your business. You did what you had to do. Right? So those same voices was controlling me to be able to do negative and bad things.
Yeah.
And then got to a point where I didn't have any more enemies, so I became my own enemy. And I'm gonna keep it 100. That's why everybody know me with my son. I go buck wild, because if it wasn't for my son, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Cause I had my own thoughts suicide, and I was like, dang, and I was feeling like everybody asked me for something. My mom needs something, my dad needs something, the girl I was dealing with needs something. And it seemed like my worth, I didn't have worth. My worth was what I can do for you.
So did you feel that? Did you feel that suicide was more like an escape for you to kind of be able to relinquish some of the things that were being asked from you?
I think it was the same thing he was feeling. I could go out on top. I can go out as being this Matthew right here, and I don't got to worry about I don't have to worry about any more expectations. I don't got to be any better than what I am. I left out on top, and nobody can say nothing bad about me. Nobody can never they see me down. Nobody can never see this and that. They have the stories that I put out there, and I can control the narrative. Like he was saying, he'd be able to control his narrative. So if I do it now, I can control the narrative. And then at the end of the day, everybody seen me slipping. My mother, my father, I could be a streamer. Everybody seen me slipping, but nobody knew how to stop me from falling. Everybody left me out there. You know, I heard certain people, I ain't gonna say, you know, even with my son mother, I put that out there. She tried to do something to herself, took some pills. I saved her life. I pumped the stomach. I was like, now you ain't gonna gotta go to no hospital, because I don't want you to have that stigma on you when you go try to get another job. You don't know if you're gonna get a government job or not. I don't know. I don't want that to be for you, because you're not gonna be able to really maneuver. So I'm gonna keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
I stayed with her for 3 weeks. Called out work for 3 weeks. Took FMLA, family leave. Nursed her back to health and everything. I had a personal conversation with her on the phone. I said, hey man, look, yo, I need help. What she told me,
Get how you live.
She was like, yo, I can't help you. You told me, I was telling her stuff to keep her alive. I was like, man, suicidal thoughts not real, because I don't know what to say. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was just saying things to make her feel as though she can live. And she said to me, she was like, oh, I thought suicidal thoughts wasn't real. Left me stinking. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and this is comes to another point where, again, we as men, and I'm not trying to make this a men versus women thing. I know the women have their own, mental health situations, but for some reason, when it comes to a man, it's like there's less empathy for our feelings, because you stop crying about it, stop doing this about it, and it's like, to the point where it's like, I'm still human. I still have feelings myself. And the only reason why I act hard is because I have to, because of the way that the world has made this situation happen for us.
But the thing about it is this, right? That's why, and you can't be, that's why I don't like the man versus woman wars and all that kind of stuff. You can't, that's what they got you for.
Yeah.
Your job is to fight back the tide of somebody trying to hurt them, somebody trying to do something to them, and also for you to be mentally stable. So like, even all of us, we all dated around. The person, right, that's in the most control of their feelings and emotions is the person that leads the relationship. That's what women respect, right? So like when I was out there being a pimp player, talking to this girl, that girl, the more that girl couldn't get an emotion out of me, or the more that I didn't fall victim to her looks or her appeal or try to make her feel as though she was special, the more she wanted me.
It's a game at that point. It's that cat and mouse game.
Well, it's not really a game. It's like he has control of his emotions. So that's what they look for. So like for me to tell her that I can't control my emotions, he looked up to me at that point, because she like, dang, look at everything he went through. He was able to keep it in check. At that point, I couldn't keep it in check, and I looked for help. And then I can't be mad at her for, she don't know how to help me. I didn't know how to help her, but I tried. But at the end of the day, the only person that helped me was my son. You know, when I was about to go do something crazy, he grabbed me. I didn't even know. He was like, yo, Dad, what's wrong with you? I was like, nah, nothing wrong with me. I tried to pretend. I was like, nothing wrong with me. He's like, nah, there's something wrong with you. And he held on to me. He was like, you ain't going nowhere. I was like,
yeah, that's
deep right there.
I was like, what? Deep. He was like, nah, you ain't going nowhere. We about to go play video games. I'm like, nah, I gotta go, man. He was like, nah. He started crying. He was like, nah, Dad, nah. You ain't going nowhere. Come on, we gonna play video games. I stayed upstairs with my son, play video games. His mom called to come get him. He was like, nah, me and my dad good. We staying the whole weekend. And he reached over. He was like, yo, Dad, listen, I love you for you. And I was like, what? He said, I don't love you. And I ain't say nothing I never said nothing to him. He said, I love you for you. I love you because I like playing. I like being with you. I'm like, yo, that saved my life.
Yeah. That's deep right there, boy.
So like at the end of the day, you know, as a man, a lot of times you think everything that surrounds your life is what you can do for somebody else. From your parents on down,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Because as you become older and older, they expect you to leave their house. They expect you to provide for yourself or to come back and help them out.
Help
with
them.
something.
Oh no, you
captain-
definitely help
something.
them. Oh no, you definitely gonna help them.
You the captain of the ship.
Because they aging and they like, hey, look, you have to take responsibility for the household now. You got to help me out. They gonna call you, ask you for money.
Yeah.
They might need to use your credit now because they not working no more.
Yeah.
So their credit don't mean nothing because they don't got no financials to back it up.
Right.
So now you are under all this
Even more
pressure,
Yeah.
and it
Pressure
feels
of a
like
child,
Mount
pressure of
Rushmore on
having a
you.
woman, pressure of taking care of parent, everything.
And you have to pretend to stay a leader in your household. You have to pretend that nothing bothers you. You have to
You gotta
pretend like
put the mask
you gotta
on.
pretend like
put the
everything's
mask on.
okay.
You gotta put the mask on.
That's why it's very important that you have to have outlets and you have to have a support system like your brothers, because we all know what each other's going through. We all have to be providers in in our own right. So who can help you more than somebody who's going through the same thing that you're going through?
Yeah.
I may be up this month.
Especially somebody that already got like more experience than you in the situation. They can kind of help you maneuver through, what you're going through.
Because I may be up this month, but then now you down.
Exactly.
So now it's up for me to be like, yo, bro, man, you ain't acting yourself, bro. What's going on, man? Talk to me, man.
Yeah.
Let's go over here. Let's go chill.
Yeah, just
let's
like
sit for a second.
every week how we had the gym. You know what I mean? Every week, one day out the week, we do the meeting.
That's what
we meet
do.
up in person.
We meet up every single week for the gym. It's for our business, but we also 90% of the time
Remember, we coping. That's how we cope.
We
That's
cope.
how we cope.
You gotta have that type of outlet, because if you don't have that outlet and you feel like it is just you by yourself, then now
Definitely
you
gotta
start
get
to
part of
crumble.
it. Yeah.
Religion won't help you at a certain point. The positive affirmations won't help you. You need your brothers or somebody that's going to sit there and be like, bro, you down here in the ditch. I'm going to get in the ditch with you, and we're going to pick you up and get you up out of this.
Yeah.
That's what has to happen. Matt says it all the time.
Yeah,
You know
all
what
the
I'm
time.
saying? So,
Absolutely.
You need your tribe, yo.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
gotta
gotta
That's
have your
why
tribe.
I get on these two, because they love to lie. I say, hey, what's wrong with
Stop
you?
the cat.
Nothing
No,
wrong with
listen,
nothing wrong with me.
listen. I'm
Nothing
gonna
wrong-
be
Just
honest.
tell you.
I took
He-
him 10 slander, but I'm not going to tell him
Look,
why.
let me tell you.
He gonna cap till you die. He'll tell the truth. Go ahead, tell the
I'm
truth.
gonna be honest
Go ahead,
with you.
tell
I'm
the
gonna be
truth.
honest with you.
He
There's
about
a
to see his
couple.
fight, man.
There's a couple times now. There's a couple times like I go scoop Matt. We in the car. He can see me down. He my brother. You know what I mean? He can see me down. So he just asked me like, bro, what's going on? You know what I mean? You know me. I'm not really that type of I don't like to be vulnerable like that all the time. So
Again, that's trauma from my.
No, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So that's why when we talked about that, I'm getting better with that me as myself. You know what I mean? I don't like to be looking like I'm, vulnerable. So, but with my brother, you know what I mean? He could see it. I mean, he could see it's something wrong with me. So I don't I come clean to him like, yo, listen, I'm going through this. I'm having this problem and this problem, boom, boom. And then we just talk. And then at the end of it, we get over it. You know what I mean? And then put the next foot in front of the other and keep moving and knock that one down and then go to the next one. You know what I mean? So
Now, at the beginning, the Shell said he wanted me to get live. Now, I'm going to get live on Shells.
Get live.
Are you going to tell the truth, Shells?
About what?
Okay. So, how do you feel? Have you ever had an interaction with not wanting to be here?
Of course. I said that earlier. I literally said I've been exactly where you are and felt like, yo, this is too much for me. This is too much. As this person asked me for this. This person expect me to do this. I felt like, yo, what am I here for? What is life? What does life even mean? You know what I'm saying? I've had times where I'm like, life is not making sense. I'm doing this right. I'm doing this right. I'm doing this right. But I'm keep getting all this shit dropping on my back. But the thing that got me out of that was having brothers that pulled me up out of that, and then also understanding that everybody has their storm. Right. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor you are, middle class. Right. Listen, Robin Williams spent his whole life making people laugh, but it still wasn't enough to keep him here. Wow. So at the end of the day, we just got to understand, life is going to have hurdles, but it's what do you have to get you through each hurdle? Right. And a lot of times it has to be you having a support system or having that reason to keep going. Right. Because life sometimes will give you a reason to say, hey, I mean, you really ain't doing nothing. You might as well do it.
Because a lot of times.
All right, wait. All right, we've been getting deep. We've been getting deep. I mean, we're gonna switch the gear real quick. We're gonna get back to that, but we're gonna do Grind Time with D.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a segment.
Right, switch it up.
This is a segment. It's called Grind Time with D. I just explain it to you, and then you just answer it.
Okay.
So you just tell us a moment. I just let you go and do it. So, Grind time with D is we want you to tell us a moment you did the most with the least you had to flip your grind into a hustle.
No, rewind that. We ain't do that right. Let's go. Run it back. Already? Grind time with D.
I want you to tell us a moment that you did the most with the least you had to flip your grind into a hustle.
So I would say I did that with my suicide attempt. I took a experience where that could have took me out of here, and I transformed it into a company. The name of my company is called Rich Purpose Media, and it's Rich Purpose because I feel like my rich purpose is to inspire and encourage people to become the greatest version of themselves. And I find that being in that low darkness, being in the darkness, ultimately led me to the light of being able to find myself, and now I feel charged to be able to help others find their rich purpose.
Fire. I like that.
Fact.
Like that.
Facts, man. So,
And that's another thing I think we need to do too, and I like what you're doing as far as that. We have to stop thinking that richness comes from material things or what you have in your bank account, because you could be the richest man in the world financially, but spiritually you're bankrupt.
Yeah.
I mean, look what's going on. I mean, listen, we ain't got to say no names, but look what's going on in the world. A lot of exposing is happening in the last couple of months, and it's people that are at the height of all the richness, but you see some of these things, they're doing the dirtiest things, and you can't sleep good at night. I don't care how much money you have.
But a lot of times you can't show because you gotta understand this, right? We're putting so much emphasis on money now. So, like, even when I was growing up, I used to hear more like, is he going to be a good father to my kids?
Yeah.
Right? Is he a good man? You don't hear any of that stuff anymore.
Nah, it's what can you provide?
Yeah.
You
You
could be
gotta have a Bentley. You gotta have a Bentley.
It's 6 figures a year, your height and your look. That's what it is. But what about the person? Okay, so cool. He got 6 figures a year. He got a height. He got a look. But what if he's a terrible person? What if he's not a good man? What if he can't be a good father to your
this
children?
is the reason why a lot of people that choose those situations end up being depressed inside of a nice house. But they're depressed because you have all the things that you thought was going to bring you happiness, and when you finally get them, it's an empty household.
A nightmare.
It could be people in your household, but it feels empty because it ain't built off of love. It's built off of what you can do for me, and it's materialistic things. And that's the reason why I feel like our community is kind of we're messed up right now, because during the civil rights era, right, it wasn't about the money. It was about we got to survive through this madness.
Yeah.
You need the best fathers. You need somebody that can really be the head of this household and protect everybody, right? Once we started to get and acquire all these things and start to hold all these other objects into higher regard than your spirit, your heart, who you are as a man, now we have a bunch of baseless relationships. You have two people together that spend $1 million on a wedding and then be with each other for 8 months.
That's crazy.
Because of the fact that that's just what we're told we're supposed to do. You're supposed to have the big wedding. You're supposed to have the big cars, all these houses. But y'all still not even working on if y'all even like each other. It's like, what can we do for each other? You look good, I make money, let's make it happen.
That's crazy. So let's get into the writing process of the Rich Suicide. How did the process go? The creative process.
Yo, so I started. It's crazy because I always wanted to write a book, and I started writing on it like years before it even came into the light. So I already had chapters already written.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had but I was just sitting on it.
So when did you actually start like writing?
So I started writing. It was the year. It was about 2014, 2000. Around. It was. So I had a situation where I had to file bankruptcy, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of losing everything, building up everything, then losing everything. And then from that experience, to Matt's point, I found that when I let go of those materialistic things, I feel like my soul and spirit was revived. So even though I was
like you was cleansed,
yeah,
like you did a fast,
all the shit I was holding on to, it was like, yo, this really don't matter.
Yeah.
So it was like a revelation time for me. I started writing, and then I got away from it. I went back to work and kind of was like living in the everyday. Just the daily hustle.
Yeah.
And then after my suicide attempt, my little sister, she came in. She came to see me, and she was like, she was like, Took my nickname. Everybody called me. She like, Took, like, you got a story to tell. And I'm like, what you mean? She like, you got to finish that book. You feel me? She was like, you gotta share your story. And then from there, at the beginning, I wasn't really into it because I still was kind of in and out of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really like invested in writing a book, but I just got to a point where one of my fraternity brothers, Duran, he was like, yo, when you get ready, tell your story from your perspective. And I ran with that, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna tell my story. Like, who better than the one who could tell it better than me?
Yeah. Shout out to Sis, man, for throwing the
alley-oop. Let me ask you a question though. How hard was it having to relive some of your trauma, writing it down in a book?
So, like, honestly, it's therapeutic. Like, even when I do my keynote, when I was writing the book, it was very therapeutic because I was able to really flush out a lot of the toxins and a lot of the evil spirits and stuff that was in my body. To put it on paper. Mm-hmm. It was like, in a way, it allowed me to release it, make peace with it, and move on to it. The analogy I give, there's a verse in the Holy Quran, chapter Anbiya, the Surah of the Prophets, verse 26, when the people of Abraham, they throw him in the fire, right? Yeah. So I felt like everything that I went through represented in his analogy of the fire that I went through, the fire of guilt, the fire of trauma, the fire of depression. But when I was in the blaze, just like when God told the fire to be cool, he told the fire to be cool for Abraham, be a place of peace. Yeah. I found that when I went into the fire, I was like, oh, all right. This shit making me stronger. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I was in it, I was so scared to go in it. But once I got in there, it's like God made it a place of peace for me.
Like you could stand it. Like,
you could stand the fire. Like, I got to see how strong I really was with the help of God. You know what I'm saying? And it helped me put things back into perspective to see that, you know, tests and trials come to us all.
Everybody.
You know what I'm saying? You look at the prophets, you look at like people in general, it's
from the beginning
tests.
of time.
Nobody has walked this earth unscathed, bro.
Tests. Holy Quran. Do you think that I've made you in a way that you won't be tried and tested? Like, you know what I'm saying? Even though I've read that shit so many times in the Quran, I'm like, I know the test coming. But when you in that examination room,
it's
like, damn,
it's a real test. It's a real test.
Go from where's my test to damn, why this happening to me?
Word. And when they say like ain't no test like ain't nothing gonna test you like life. Yeah, I understand that principle. It ain't gonna be a physical fight. No. It's gonna be an emotional, spiritual. Yeah. Like, you're gonna have to go inside yourself. And I went through a process of like a brother. He was giving a speech, and he was like, "Yo, you gotta become like an archaeologist of your soul. Like, you gotta go where those skeletons at. You gotta go where the darkness at." And I had to so when a person dies, right, they do an autopsy. They figure out like, yo, what killed them, what caused their symptoms. Yeah. So in order for me to live, I had to do a live autopsy, crack myself open while I was alive to be able to figure out, yo, how can I live? You know, how can I live with this depression? How can I live with this guilt? And I would say like that reorganization of myself from financially going bankrupt to spiritually going bankrupt, I got to a point like everything that I was fearing, it really wasn't that bad. So it gave me strength to reconnect with my creator, reconnect with myself, to be like, yo, let me stay on my square. So when I'm encountering challenges, I be like, okay, it's test time.
Yeah, well, we gotta understand.
It's test
faith
time.
Is just a word until you really go through something.
Right.
Oh, everybody get faith test. Everybody get faith battle tested.
Word.
Everybody
Word.
Like you get faith battle tested. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Like if you say you believe and whatever you believe in, it's gonna be a moment where it's gonna be like how much you believe.
Like, who you gonna run to?
Yeah, exactly.
You gonna run to your own beliefs or other people, or you gonna run to God?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's like who you.
That's how I go, because I know me, like, experience, like, you know, like, I always say, like, even when I was young, I always say thank God for everything, right? But then when I encountered, like, a situation when I got locked up, like, that's who you really call on. You don't call on nobody else. You don't call on
Can't nobody else help you.
You don't call on friends. You don't call. you see everybody when they go to jail, what they do, they go pray. They go
Word.
pray. They either go to the church or they go to the mosque. Like it's the
Word.
two things they
Word.
do. So you see a lot of people running to God when they need him. But the problem is all the time we go to him when we think is like good for us.
I think a lot of times
When
we
we-
go to God as the last resort.
When it should be
So
your
That
first.
should be the
Word.
first, yeah.
Word.
It
Because
should be
what
the
happens
first.
is
We be
that
bugging.
when all the other things you go to starts to fail, and then you go to God last, and you want him to be first to help you.
Yeah.
See, that don't make
Word.
sense. So a lot of times, even me myself, we pour too much. A lot of times, a man and woman, I speak for me because I'm a man, we pour too much into other people.
The world.
Like with
Yeah.
me, like when I had certain ladies, I pour so much into them. If they reject me, like say we not getting along, and then they break up with me and they leave, then I feel like I don't have nothing. I don't feel like I'm whole myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Or something going on with my lady. Back in the day when I didn't know how to control what I pour into somebody, and Shells could test too. He be like, "Man, you stop going so crazy. You doing this, you doing that, you doing stop, man." And I never really understood. And I don't
We've
think
all
he
made our
came from,
mistakes.
from this angle. I don't think he meant it from this angle, but what it really was is that it wasn't about the things I did for them. It was about the amount of my soul and my efforts I poured into them. So now they reject that. They rejecting who I think I am.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, it's not the fact that I even love that person or still care about that person. The fact that they're rejecting, like, why am I rejecting me? And I gave them everything I had. So a lot of times we have to be careful about what we pour out into other people and make sure that we give as much as we can stand. Because if you pour out everything in a person's going to falter. I don't care who it is.
Humans gonna be humans.
Humans going to be human. A person's going to
Humans gonna be
falter.
humans.
They're not always going to come how you want them to come. I might expect something out of Derek or Shells, and if they don't do it the way I expect them to do it, then I might feel hurt because they don't even understand they wanted me to do it that way because he's a different person.
Well,
He's a
yeah,
different
yeah.
person. So the best thing to do is you put that belief and you pour into yourself and you pray to whatever you feel as though is God, because those things is not going to betray you.
Right.
Absolutely.
And we also have to understand too, whether you go to the church, whether you go to the mosque, a lot of people base their religion off of whoever is preaching to them. And you got to understand that person that's preaching in front of you is a man as well.
Right.
So if you find something about them that's exposed, that doesn't mean that your faith has to stop.
Absolutely.
You should have never been looking at that person in the first place to be. You shouldn't idolize no man as it is.
Yeah.
We have to start getting more connected to God, and that's just what it is. I'm not trying to make this a religious speech to anybody, but when the world doesn't make sense, the only thing that's going to make sense is your connection to God. Because at the end of the day, that's what you do it for. That's what's going to keep you going. Because guess what? Your friends may disappoint you. Your lady may disappoint you. Your kids may do something that hurts you. But at the end of the day, the only thing that you have left when you have no clothes on your back, when you have no cars in the driveway, is you and God. And that's it.
Let me say this. I'm gonna double down on this. You say you have to find yourself first, because if you look at any of the stories, what did happen? What did God do when He did to anybody, even Moses? What happened with Moses? What happened with Abraham? You're gonna have to have. He had them by themselves searching.
Right.
It's that isolation.
You're going to be in isolation. Why? People don't never pick that up. Why were they in isolation, right? They were in isolation because if you're isolated, it's you and your own thoughts. It's your own views. Nobody can manipulate you or conform your beliefs or tell you it's going to be okay. You have to come to those decisions by yourself. So it's not only about finding God, it's finding about who you are. Because a lot of times with men, we go to the bottle, we go to drugs, we go to working hard. Some things are negative, some things are positive. We think because it's a positive thing to work hard that we think that we're doing something good. When you're not doing something good, you're really destroying yourself. You're working 12 hours, 13 hours,
That's not
14
normal.
hours, 15
That's
hours.
not normal.
And people on the outside is like, dang, bro, you
He's
really
getting
putting
to
that
it.
work.
Yeah.
You getting to it.
He's killing himself.
You're killing it.
He's dying at 55.
You're killing
The
it.
average man. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even within that, we're seeking something. Because if somebody knows or hears or see you doing certain things and they bring it to your attention, like, dang, man, I seen you hustle. I seen you run there, go there. And subconsciously, that's fulfilling a need in us.
Oh, they see me grinding out here. Yeah, they see me getting
Because
to it. Yeah.
a lot of times as young black boys, I can only speak for me, my shade, is that you don't get admiration like that unless you do something that's above normal. See, we don't give admiration as a black community to anything that's below normal. See, he made a book that's challenging.
Yeah.
He had to put his thoughts, his feelings, his emotions in that book. Stuff that he's battling with, he had to be, especially as being a black man, he had to come face to face with it, express it, and then go on panels and speak about it, right? That's abnormal. But see, he's not going to get the 5,000 until he wear on Barbara Walters or 60 Seconds. Then all of a sudden, everybody clapping, right?
We have to start celebrating our hometown heroes, and that's just the thing about it. We got to celebrate the person that we went to school with that became something.
Even with that, with our children, we have to, like with my son, every day he wake up, I say, man, you the best. You good. Dang, he want to be a chef. You know what I tell him? Cook them eggs. Even if the eggs nasty, I ain't gonna lie. Them eggs good, man.
Little Matt, them eggs is on point, boy.
Put a little milk in there. Put a little salt in there. Because at the end of the day, I didn't get that when I was growing up. Only time I had to do something extraordinary in order for me to get one bit of praise, And I was sitting, I talked to my moms, and I said, "Hey, mom, why I was like that?" He said, "She was." You know what my mom say? And this is what we talked about with Lee when he came there. My mom told me, she was like, "Listen, that's all I knew. That's how my grandmama raised me." So a lot of times,
It's
as
passed
being
down trauma. I mean, not to cut you off, but it's passed down trauma, because think about the way that our community even treats beating your kids, right? That's really passed down from slavery, of just whipping your kids. Think about whipping your kids. You're basically doing the same thing that was done to us in that time period, and passing it down, and passing it down, and passing it down. And then we think that that's mentally telling you that when you do something wrong, it's okay to physically harm you. It's okay to do physical harm. So guess what? When Ty is in school with me and he does something I don't like, I can beat him, because that's what I was taught to do anyway. When I did something bad, I got beat. So when he does something bad, he gets beat too. It's passed down trauma. And we applaud it like, no, you can't do something bad, you got to beat him. But you got to understand.
This generation not like that, though.
Our generation is not as bad as before.
I'm talking about this one. This generation today, they don't whoop kids, bro. You know, ain't
Some of them
crazy.
Yo, listen, listen. No, for real. Like, I don't know
kids.
people that's whooping kids like that no more. Like, I don't know people that's whooping, because you whoop a kid now, it's ball game.
Yeah, but
Child Protective Service.
What? It's going down.
they got on speed dial. The kids know speed dial. You said you gonna do what?
Listen, I remember one time I got a beat and I told my mother, call Davis. I almost died that day.
She said, go call him.
What? And she said, before they get here, you dead.
Listen, my dad
You
used to
try
say,
that now. Kid calling them ASAP.
he used to say, go get the switch and make sure it's a green
Stop
one.
snitching on Mom Dukes, y'all. Stop snitching on Mom Dukes, y'all.
She used to be like, go get the switch and make sure it's a green one. You
make
gotta
sure it's the thin one.
you gotta get the branch, you gotta pop it off, and you bend it, it's green in there, that's the one she wants. She don't want that old rusted one that's gonna pop
Now
on
take
you.
that back. Go
Ain't nothing
Go
worse
take that
than
back.
being in the shower and getting the wetness.
Oh, man.
I feel like I was in the Roots.
Listen, man.
My name is Kuta.
But at the end of
It's different, man.
But at the end of the day, sometimes, like a lot of times, like even with me, I speak to me. The things that I grew up in my neighborhood doing, it didn't prepare me for real life. So when I had to go to a job, and I used to be crazy with it. Indeed, you used to be too.
I used to be bugging.
I used to work at Costco, and the dude was like, "Yo, move that bag of rice and put it over there." I was like, "Who up? He talking to like that?" Because my mind was so crazy from the way I grew up, and anything can be perceived as disrespect. So anytime somebody, exactly. So I'm so happy that I was able to
transition.
I went from a place called Cooper's in Newark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna tell one story. I threw the manager in the garbage head first. Dude, I was happy because it was a hood store and I was able to avoid getting assault charge.
Allegedly.
And then I went there.
Allegedly.
And I went to Cooper's. I went to Target, and I went to National Car Rental. Then I went to Costco. Costco, I had a couple of little verbal altercations. And then I went to the real world. By then I was
smiling while he told his story. He's still he's happy as hell. He's smiling.
By then I was already cultured. He deserved to get thrown in the garbage. He was going crazy, but whatever.
I don't approve this message.
But by then, I was able to take criticism. I was able to take, critique and say, hey, look, your job, da-da-da-da. And I was able to mature.
That's another thing, too. A lot of us have not been exposed to things outside of our community, and that's what it's like a handicap, because once you can see it when people start to go to different places, start to go to different travel. You start to see that the world is bigger than just your four corners that you live in.
It's important to travel.
And that for most people, it opens up their mind. But if you've only been in your area, your county, and you haven't left. I mean, in Jersey, we thought Essex County was the only thing that mattered in Jersey. When all of us, well, what's coming up? I didn't know about South Jersey. What's South Jersey? The country down there. That's what I thought. And then when you start spreading out and spreading your wings, you see like, oh, they got situations just like us. They growing up just how we growing up. They have their own traumas. You start to see that we're taught to be so much against each other. But again, we're stronger together. All that separation was put inside of our minds, because think about anything that ever happened. Anytime that we ever try to organize and become a positive movement, there was always somebody in the movement that wanted to be the chief, and they want this person to be the chief, and we all fighting against each other, when the biggest picture was us moving forward together.
Right.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it live, because Shell said get live, so I'm about to get live, and I want him to tell the truth. I'm going to go from D, I'm going to go all the way down. D Money, childhood trauma, keep it 100.
Me, a lot, man. Coming from a single mom household, 4 brothers, you know what I mean? I ain't really had too many male role models, drug addicts in the family, you know what I mean? Getting whooped a lot, you know what I mean? And just I ain't gonna blame it on the inner city, living in the inner city, but the environment was tainted with a lot of stuff. So, man, that's a lot of trauma for me. That's what caused trauma for me, man.
That was very broad, but I'm gonna let you get away with it.
Trauma for me. I mean, it's so many things that you see growing up, and my family, my mother and father, they were from the South, so they had a different upbringing, so they couldn't really tell me how to survive up here. So I had to learn on my own. So I made a lot of mistakes, because I was sitting here trying to give Southern hospitality as a young kid, and that didn't exist. So now I had to learn how to not be taken advantage of from my niceness, because I was taught that if they don't have food, you got food, you share. But then now people look at that as weakness. Mm-hmm. So then now I have to become something that I'm not naturally. I'm not naturally a bad person. I'm not naturally a person that wants to hurt anybody. I'm a person that is more open to people. So when I start to understand that people are going to take that for weakness, now I turn to somebody that I'm really wasn't never supposed to be.
Number one rule: even if you don't want it, eat it.
So and then on top of that, when we lost, we got burnt out of our apartment building, and then we had nothing but the clothes on our back. So then we had to move into my godfather's attic. That's really when I start to see certain things about what I had and didn't have, because I moved to a different town that was like a richer town. So then everybody where I was from originally, we all had the same type of clothes. We all had the same type of stuff. So you didn't really realize that you didn't really have as much as everybody else until I moved to a different area. It was like, oh, this person's father is a lawyer. This person is a doctor. And then they got all the name tags and name brands. And I'm sitting there looking at my stuff like, oh, shit. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to have? So then it started making me do other things now in order to be able to keep up with what was going on around me. So it's a lot of trauma that happened. But as a kid, that was some of the trauma that I was experiencing, trying to adjust to a Southern household in a city environment, and then finding out by being moved out of that situation to a new situation that there's levels to certain kids are getting this type of stuff and certain kids are getting this type of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I was the only child, so I got stuff. But it was a big difference from what I was seeing in the new environment that I was in.
So what was the first time a kid came up to you and he laid it out for you? Like, what the hell is those?
I think the first time, I was in middle school, and back then everybody was doing tag checks.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? I will never forget this. Yeah. So I was sitting in, I think I was taking like a music class. So everybody was standing up in like a little choir thing and all that, right? I can't sing. So I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden I hear them doing tag checks, and in the back of my ear I'm hearing they're like, oh shit, they about to do tag checks. So I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Because the fake joints, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, once they get to my tag, I'm just going to have to fight. And that's what happened.
That's right.
They taking my tag, and we start fighting. So at the end of the day, it's like, that's like the first experience where you're like, damn, like, I wouldn't even have did certain things if it wasn't for that type of moment. Because even when I was in a worse neighborhood, I never had the thought of doing certain things because it was just like everybody messed up like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. And, I still feel like I had it even better than most because I had both of my parents in the house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But all these, so there's a rhyme and reason to everybody's trauma. You know what I'm saying? There's a rhyme and reason to why this person, people just don't turn out how they turn out just because. There's certain things that happen, and as minuscule as you could think it is, it builds. It's like a snowball effect. It may start off small, but the more time that you allow it to exist without checking it, it becomes that big snowball.
Yeah. I would say drugs and death, specifically drugs with both of my parents being heavily addicts when I was young, and seeing that it turned them into different people. Like they when they use drugs, they just turn into like completely different people. And that side of me, when I witnessed that, it created a lot of trauma in me because it was like I didn't know who they were. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And holidays come around, shit end up missing, and you like, damn, like, people in the trauma from like. Sometimes my dad used to owe hustlers, like drug dealers, money. And these were the dudes that I looked up to. Like, they'd come knocking on my door, me and my mother at the crib. My father gone, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was just me and her there. And they like, yo, such and such, if he don't pay me by this, he a dead man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, damn, they going to
kill my pops.
They going to kill my pops. Damn, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and then the death, like the amount of friends that I lost coming up, it's just, I got numb to the shit. Like, obituaries, just feeling like I'm like in 13, 15 years old, 16 years old, dresser full of obituaries. Yeah. Like, and then when you go to like South Orange, Livingston, it's like they live like a whole we playing them in sports. Like they conversation is like
one block
away.
Yo, and it's 1 block away. It's 1 block away.
1 block away. It's $1 million house. You could.
Hey yo, but when you come back down the hill, everything look different.
And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. The economy is so different because it's like. Crackheads is literally right here on this corner.
But when they pass across the street,
it's like people know not to cross that damn street.
Right, don't go past.
If you cross that street, one street, bam, $1 million house, and you just walk the block from a crackhead.
And you can see the difference too. That's the thing. Like,
so like
you can see the difference.
Another thing is that I want to be able to speak about is that with me, and he didn't touch on it, so I'm going to touch on it. Because I know his traumas. Because I'm going to let him bring up. Well, I'm going to say it. With me, when I was younger, man, people tried to kill me like maybe 4 or 5 times. This is when I was a kid. We not doing nothing. We ain't messing with nobody.
Bouncing the basketball
outside my mother and my father's house. And then this guy pull up on us in the Acura. He was like, yo, how y'all doing?
No, Lexus. It was a Lexus.
It was a Lexus.
I was about to say the Acura was
Lexus.
No, it was a green Lexus.
He pulled up on us. He was like, yo, how y'all doing? We was like, we doing all right. And this dude named Craig that we chill with, I thought he knew him because he talking to him. Because me and D don't conversate, we don't know you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, he know him. So I'm getting comfortable. It's a girl in the car with her. She look good. So we looking at the girl. We like 15. He was like, y'all sure y'all good? So D tell you, I'm always on point. I look, it's a light, which is a street light shining down. Mm-hmm. And he had a nickel-plated 9. And I see it. I'm like, all right, I told D, I'm like, yo, D, you got a gun. I was like, yo, tell Craig we going to dip on 3. So D was like, all right, I got it. So D tell Craig, he was like, he got a gun. He was like, he got a gun? I was like, yo, what is wrong?
Oh, nah. And
soon he said they start letting off. Boom. So, like, I start bear crawling in the backyard, in the driveway. Boom. D hopped the bushes. Craig hopped the bushes. Boom, we going. So we come back around. They okay, we okay. He got bullets in his house.
Yeah.
Shells on the floor.
Yeah. So
like Craig told his mom, she called the police came. When they came, it was like, all right, what happened? There was like, anybody hit? We was like, nah, nobody hit. And it was a shell casings on the floor.
Yep.
So me as a kid, I'm thinking they about to do like, top flight,
Forensics.
pick up the shells. You know what he did? He kicked the shells down the drain, was like, all right, y'all come with us. We need to make a report. And that's when I knew, I said, my life don't mean nothing to these people. And being 15 years old, having an understanding like, damn, bro, like my life don't mean nothing. Because he really took the evidence and he kicked, think about that. That's the evidence. It could have been a fingerprint on there. He kicked it down the drain.
Yeah.
And from that day, that's when I was like, I got to protect myself. Because my mom and my dad, they from down south. They don't know what's going on. And I ain't never tell them. I kept them in the dark. Yeah. So they don't know what's really going on. They think they moved to an okay neighborhood. Because when we moved out on in East Orange, it was like a Chinese family, a white family. So they thinking it's okay. They don't really know.
Yeah.
When I'm walking another time, me and D, we outside. We talking to some girls from Montclair, from the track team. We minding our own business. Somebody that we knew got in a fight with somebody on South Orange Drive. It was a little fish fight. They come down the street, and I'm thinking they about to fight. So I'm like, yeah, what's good? Let's fight. I don't care. I see him going in his pants. He pulled a Tech 9 out.
Yeah, started wilding.
So I'm telling him, my boy Craig, to run. They not paying me no mind because they trying to get numbers.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, bro, run. So I ain't gonna lead them crazy. So I ran towards them like, yo, bro, we gotta go. As soon as I get almost to them, he starts spraying.
Yeah.
Real story. What saved my life is my father, a dumpster. My father used to deliver dumpsters. Yeah. And he had set a dumpster by the house. Because somebody was like, oh, your company? He's like, yeah. I work for Cooper's. He came, he brought the dumpster. He set it in front of the house. The bullets hit the dumpster. Dang!
Yeah.
His friend came and saved us.
Ronald.
Drove in front of the dumpster and was like, jump in. We jumped in the back seat. Yeah. We drove off like it was a movie.
Yeah,
that's the second time somebody tried to kill me. Nobody cared. So at that point, those are just things that I understood. Like, all right, cool. For me to survive out here, I'm going to have to do something. Because I can't keep on taking those L's and survive out here. Because I'm this open target. Every time somebody want to do something to me, if they don't got no respect for me, then they just going to take me out. Yeah. So, like, those are the different things that, I just know I grew up with. And it gives you, like, this deficiency. Like, you feel as though you're not nothing. You're not good. Because even with my mom and my dad, I'm just going to keep it honest. I went and I told my mom and my dad. And they kind of like, I think because they didn't know what to say. So they kind of was like, what happened? In disbelief. And they went back to sleep. And that shit blew my top. I'm like, hold up. I just told you something. It's bullets outside. And they just, even with Craig's mom, she didn't really make like a lot of fuss about it. She was just like, okay. And it was like, kind of like, damn, like, all right. So your 15-year-old almost getting gunned down ain't a lot of fuss? Or was it really they didn't know what to say to us?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. Like for me, I didn't say nothing. I didn't say anything. I'm gonna be honest. Like, cause we was living in the neighborhood. I knew the neighborhood wasn't good. So for me, I didn't tell my mom. Like I just was like, yo, those things happen.
Just another day.
It's just another day because me, when I first like really seen somebody get hurt was on South Orange Ave. It was a stolen car. A lady got hit, and her brains was like she on the floor on the ground, like in the street, middle of the street. It's broad daylight. Everybody outside. I was like 10 years old. She just brain leaking out her head. She got hit by a stolen car, and they kept it going. And we all just sitting in shock. Like I'm 10. Like I'm like I ain't understand it. I was like, what happened? Like, but she's not moving. Her brain is out of her head. So when that situation happened that Matthew talking about, those situations, for me, I was just looking like,
this is what it is living here.
That's what it is. So, but that's bad though. You know what I mean?
But it was just so I'm seeing like face to face seeing so much death. Like even with me when he was 12 or 13, we on South Orange Ave at the Chicken Shack. Oh. Some dude did something he wasn't supposed to do to somebody, girl. They came back, was like, oh, don't run now. Yeah. And I remember because they killed him right in front of us. He Harlem shaking, shooting him up. Bang, 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 bang. Corner? He like the Predator.
He in front of the Chinese store. And they just started, and we just looking like, and they looked at us, and we just was like.
They looked at us. It was like, I was like, hey, bro, this what it is.
We bent the corner. We see that.
And we went in the house.
We just left.
So, with all the trauma that we've all experienced, and, some of the stuff we can't even really say on camera. And that's why I just said certain things, because I know I can't even say certain things. But just to end this off, like I said, we have a great book in front of us. We've shared a lot of the same type of traumas with each other. If you had to speak to a little kid right now that may be feeling this way and doesn't understand it, what is the one thing that you want that kid to understand? And then anybody that's reading this book, what is the objective that you want to get across to them?
So if I was speaking to a younger kid, I would tell him that it's okay to not be okay. I would tell him that it's okay to be vulnerable, to ask for help, and to be willing to put yourself out there, because every not to minimize it, but everybody's going through life. None of us have done life before, and we're all learning from each other. Yeah. And I would tell them to lock in with their family, lock in with their tribe, lock in with them 4 or 5 people that really love them. And if something wrong, man, just open up. Don't be afraid to talk. Okay. And the objective of the book is to give you a real authentic account of the depths and the darkness of what depression can look like, what it can feel like, what it can sound like, but to let you know that it's not over. You know what I'm saying? That your beginning is not your end, and ultimately, like, you have a rich purpose.
Tell them where they can get the book, and then tell them all your social media handles.
You could grab the book. It's on Amazon. Rich Suicide: The Memoirs of a Suicide Survivor. And then my Instagram is Rich Purpose Media. My YouTube is Rich Purpose Media. And LinkedIn is Travis Graham Jones.
Listen, everybody. Thank you all for watching.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Bar of the day. Don't ever try to get away with that. Let's go. I gave you too much information. Let's go. Let's go. Man, bar of the day.
You're never alone, because it's you and I. If you want to find some healing, go cop that Rich Suicide.
Woo!
Facts, man.
First you find your grind,
then you turn it to a hustle.
So you can live life how you want to. Once again, 2024, we in here. We got a lot of great things coming up. Make sure y'all stay tuned.
Blessings.
Good, man.
Good stuff,
man.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Yo, appreciate you, man.